Radio check, radio check. Hey Zen, appreciate it. I'd love you to do a share on your to your many subscribers, if you will, later after the event or when you're rewatching. Maybe do a raid or something. You are my subscriber with the most subscribers, at least on the permanent side of on the public side of things. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay, are we good? Welcome everybody back to Deviant Racing and an as live replay of the season 3.2 round. This is round 4 at Lago Maggiore in Italy, and really looking forward to seeing this one. We will have a good look at everything in due course, but let's take a quick moment to talk about the championship standings right now. Rutaz is in first position, whether you take the overall points or losing a score, with a near perfect score so far, 3 wins and the fastest lap as well. Excuse me, this is season 3.3. Made a mistake already. Apologies, and thank you, Anatol, for that one. Obviously managed to mislabel my previous video in the playlist, so I'll have to go ahead and fix those. Arcane is second position on 40 and 30 points respectively, and Larry is in third at the moment and above the promotion line. On 36 and 26 points. I'm going to read out the with the drop score eventually. Sully is in fourth with Speedstars in fifth. Lalo Kills in sixth with Saito seventh. Kuros Kai in eighth. Huge Jar in ninth, and Billy Bob in 10th position. Dr. Sparkle is in 11th. Thrasher in 12th, and JDA or Jim in 13th position, but has managed to score 8 points already in a single race. Tie-Dye is at the bottom of the standings with just 4 points overall. In our combined constructors championship, or at least our combined team championship, Team Spotify lead the way ahead of Team Mountain Dew and Team Special K in third place, with Team Zin in fourth. Brondo are in fifth, with Puma in sixth, and Coca-Cola at the bottom of the order as things stand. Okay, so let's talk you through qualifying results for this round here at Lago Maggiore in the sort of sunset conditions, it seems, and we will have an hour of racing ahead of us. Also of note, the safety car as driven here today by Mercury. long-time fans of the channel will know about Mercury, the safety car driver. But we have this. He is scheduled to emerge from the pits on lap 10, so the drivers cannot pit on lap 10 at the end of lap 10. We have Gautier-Thornton then qualifying at the back of the grid in 11th position, but in the it's good to see the Puma Porsche setup and livery here in car number 21. Anatole tells me it's sunrise rather than sunset. Okay, so great. It's going to get lighter rather than darker, so that makes life a little bit easier for us. Okay, in the new Mountain Dew Infinite Swirl livery that we haven't seen before is Tie-Dye in 10th position and teammate Sully alongside. So a lot of catching up to do here for Team Mountain Dew there. Then in the Ferrari Special K livery, we have Dr. Sparkle. We'll enjoy looking at these liveries soon enough, but in 8th position, Dr. Sparkle. And then in a special requested livery from me, Jim has gone and made one of my favourite all-time brands into a livery, and I will have to say, I'll be biased, but I'm going to spend a lot of time looking at that. We have got in a Martini livery, Maxwell racing here in 6th place qualifying, good qualifying overall there, with Thrasher in a super bright Corvette for P5. Spotify, we have gone for, I think it's Ghost, not a band I'm familiar with or an album I'm familiar with, but Saito has gone for the Spotify special livery here in the Lamborghini in 4th position, and Arcane in a fairly plain looking Scuderia Ferrari red, so it looks like that livery hasn't come through, unfortunately, for Arcane in 3rd. TX Speedstars out qualifying his normal, or at least his championship position, in the Honda, is in 2nd position, and Rue took the pole, and he's gone for a Simpsons version of the Nirvana Nevermind livery on the car, which looks very, very special indeed. Thank you so much to Zen, Smoke, Anatole and Jim for joining us in the live chat already. If you haven't already said hello and are here live, then please speak up and we will enjoy a race around Lago Maggiore. It's an 18 official turn circuit. It's a long one, explaining why we're going to be waiting until lap 10 for the safety car here. But hopefully you're all ready to race, and let's get underway then. Rue at the head of the field. He will have the inside line into the first left-hander, so he's on right of screen at this point with TX Speedstars alongside him, and Arcane, championship rival, currently in 3rd position. Okay, so it's time to build the revs and light up those 5 start lights. And it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go. It looks like a really good start near the back of the grid, but at the front it's all pretty even and steady with Rue and Arcane. Speedstars moving down straight away, but Arcane is on the inside line, and it looks like Speedstars defending 3rd position on the inside line, going through turn 2. And moving down through the order then, it looks like Speedstars defending heavily, or at least starting to re-attack past Arcane. And they'll turn left down into the one of the sharpest turns and feeding onto a long straightaway as they run through. Kuros-Kai up into 10th position. Looks like a poor start from Tie-Dye down in 11th position. Looked like he was the one that was struggling around slightly, but Rue leads Arcane, and Rue gets very sideways going into the important hairpin of turn 5 and through the exit into turn 6. Rue is now very much on the defensive through the Yahoo S's section as they go over the crest and almost flat out in these GT cars. It is the front 3 starting to stretch away slightly here. Speedstars kind of playing catch up, but Arcane with a much smoother line through the order. He should get a good slipstream then over the immediate crest and then down the long downhill stretch before braking as we hit a dip in the road and point skywards back again into turn 12. Arcane going for a dive bomb down the inside. Both cars slightly crossed up as they go side by side through the next lane. of turns 13 and 14, just about getting ahead. Speedstars waiting for the inevitable contact and door to open, or at least a clearer run through the corner. But this is tremendous stuff from the lead three. Early doors here with Arsaito chasing behind, not allowing them to get too far away, but really close at the front, with Thrasher also hanging on the back, and also hanging on in the Martini Puma Porsche is P6, is Maxwell. Just terrible understeer on the first run on the hard tyres there for Maxwell, but medium tyres on the second and third positions. Roux himself on hard tyres, and he's going to be really hard pressed to hang on to the lead here, as Speedstars now takes a turn, getting a double toe down the start finish straight away, and trying to get down the inside, but couldn't quite make it. Roux holds on the hard tyres, and he's going to play spoiler here to both Arcane and Speedstars, who swap round once again, working together it seems right now. Second and third position drivers both on the medium tyre, and trying to work together and pass Roux as best as possible. Arcane puts a purple sector in, having gone from third to second position here as they cross the timing beam. Anybody else making any moves heading into what is a very slow corner? Sully is up to 9th with Tie-Dye in 10th. Kuros Kai has lost out on that last couple sectors of the racetrack, but it looks like everybody progressing pretty well here. Mercury, I believe, has now pitted, and is going to wait for lap 10. That team's in livery. You're not going to miss that in a hurry, are you? That is, I don't know what kind of red you call that, but it is certainly very virulent. Here comes Arcane for another overtake down into the all-important turn 12. You can abuse track limits quite considerably across the apex through turn 12, and Arcane makes full use of that allowance here from race control, as Roux is climbing all over the back, gets unsighted through the next right-hander, loses another position and puts himself on the grass, working the wheel incredibly hard there. Car number 4 in the Nirvana, never mind, with Bart Simpson on the bonnet here, and he is just managing at the moment this difficult phase with the hard tyre, while the medium starters, who have now both passed him, this is going to, and again, terrific understeer, goes very wide out onto the asphalt runoff, and lucky that it's there through turn 18, the final turn. But now TX Speedstars and Arcane can go at it, hammer and tongs, one for the other. Speedstars down the inside into turn 1 once again, another exchange for the lead. I think I'd make that 6 changes for the lead in the first 3 laps. Brilliant stuff, and no major incidents or accidents so far to speak of, as they take the widest possible of the racetrack. But Speedstars leading the cars away. Speedstars ahead of Arcane, ahead of Roux, and behind them Arsaito comes through with Thrasher hot on his heels. Maxwell in what is somewhat of a traditional position for Maxwell, being kind of right in no man's land, not quite on the pace of the top group, but a good gap from the rear of the field here. Here comes Thrasher then, weaving around into the S's. There's no way through at the moment for him. And we'll have a look at the leaders as they finished out from that flat out section. They'll go over the hill, and this is where Arcane has launched a move on both the first 2 laps, and I wonder if he'll do exactly the same thing again heading down into turn 12. He's certainly got supreme confidence, but now he's up against Speedstars, who is on the same tyre and takes the more traditional racing line and manages to maximise that run through the corner. Arsaito not being attacked by Thrasher through that corner either, as Maxwell with Jim following behind in the Tabasco colour scheme, with Sully's Mountain Dew number 53 coming through in 8th, Tie-Dye his teammate in 9th, Kuros Kai still holding on but in 10th place now, with Dr. Sparkle having lost out in the Special K at the back of the grid in P11. No Team Coca-Cola's here today, or at least not on the cars anyway. I think that's the Hondas, if memory serves me correctly. But Speedstars leading them away, and Roux coming through in that 3rd position, but in a great place, Roux, because he's on the hard tyre from the start of the race. Arsaito 4th position. Perhaps we'll see Thrasher go for a move here. Arsaito on the hards, Thrasher needing to get past him there in the Chevy, and are not saying TX in the NSX. That's right. So he is Team Coca-Cola, needing points badly. Team Coca-Cola, I mean, from both divisions. You have to say at this point. So they've got a lot of catching up to do as they come through. There's a quick preview of the Tabasco livery from Jim. Absolutely love it. It's brilliant stuff. And this infinite swirl is quite special as well. I don't know if the drivers have been responsible for actually applying those themselves and designing them, or they've chosen it from some existing decal sets in GT7. Dr. Sparkle catching now back to Kuros Kai. That was our safety car driver at the back there, Mercury, waiting for his opportunity. Not much to say, unfortunately, about the two liveries that have gone to default in the head of the field. Unfortunately, it's just something that happens on GT7. And Jim saying most drivers design their own. That is excellent. I mean, that Mountain Dew livery, the amount of work that's gone into that is absolutely insane. Even if they've had to do separate decals for each element, that is still pretty special indeed. Speedstars first position, Arcane in second, Rue down into third place. There is a nice look at the sunrise conditions for the Ghost livery on Saito's Lamborghini, and Thrasher is making suggestions of a move coming up. Here we have in the Zin as Saito just runs a little wide again, still suffering that understeer on the hard tyres early on. And Lago Maggiore with these long is very, very tricky indeed. Let's see if Thrasher feels like a move into turn one. Saito not defending too hard. You can run side by side through this first sector quite comfortably, and Saito actually takes a very long route around the corner away from the racing line, but hangs on very nicely, just balancing the throttle and making Thrasher do all the work that he doesn't have to make the pass. There is Maxwell. One of my favourite historic liveries is the Martini blue and red stripes. So great to see, and almost the inverse of his Thai flag as well, which is excellent to see. This is Jim then. Let's get a really good and close look at Jim, who's chasing down Sully. And I did mention to Jim that I'm a big fan of Tabasco, and he went straight to work and produced this fiery chili sauce work. Also Mr. Sub and Fireball Whiskey. Props to that for adding whiskey into the mix as well. To say Webbo likes his flavours strong is an understatement, but yes, brilliant stuff. Love to see it. So appreciate that, Jim, no end. And hopefully you can take it further up the grid here on the hard tyres in 8th position. Almost a sector here away from the lead of the race at this point in time. Back to Thrasher then, and his pursuit of Saito as the leaders remain TX Speedstars, Arcane and Rue. And that was a good run out of the corner from Thrasher. Now they'll go side by side through the left and followed by the right of the chicane, but Thrasher not confident enough to stay fully right of Saito, who is taking this very calmly, Saito, and just pretty confident of what his car can do at this stage and not overextending too much. It's right on board with Thrasher then, as we chase down that Lamborghini in front on the harder tyres. Thrasher is destroying his mediums, following Saito for so long in the laps. This is now lap 5. Remember, we've got to get through to lap 10, and it looks like that's going to be an uncomfortable place for the medium starters to get to. Saito, this is Thrasher's bonnet. Behind him, virtually no sign of Maxwell, but partly that's because it is a predominantly silver livery, and in this sunrise condition, in the shadow of the mountains, the silver can disappear a little bit. I say this not as a bitter silver car driver or anything in real life. Well, Thrasher still trying to weave around here very quickly. Those medium tyres are going to be second best, but the hard starting tyres should favour the drivers to get through to lap 10. I'm worried though about the medium runners being able to do that, but presumably they'll be able to put the hards on for the final stint, which will probably not be which will be more than half of the race distance left to run. It's a nice Team Zin livery, a very original shape, and using the curvature of the Chevy very nicely indeed. I do like a livery that's sympathetic to the look. Kind of starts to make the front grille look a bit Aston Martin-like out there, I have to say. But good stuff. I hope that's not sacrilegious for all you Chevy fans. I would pay that as a compliment that it starts to look a bit Aston Martin-like. Here is then Maxwell's new livery for today, racing the Martini sponsorship on the Puma Porsche team. Martini, obviously a huge history in presenting and supporting motor racing. It's always good to see long-time brands representing nicely. Car 08 then, again suffering the understeer through the corners. Actually, Maxwell with quite aggressive wear rates here. Still should be fairly comfortable to get through to the second second phase of the race after the first yellow flag. This then is Jim chasing down Sully. Sully on the mediums, Jim on the hards. So I'm expecting that this means that Jim's hard tyres are in much better shape now, and they should be able to get through and fuel before the safety car as well. I never got an answer from that confusing pit stop strategy. I think it was Roux in the previous race, and at the high-speed ring. I would also hasten to suggest that some drivers got off pretty lightly from race control and the stewards post-race for the wall riding that went on, but you can't really do that here. So that's rather a good thing in my view. Jim was a lot closer to Sully when we first joined him, but it's not got any closer just now. Check out where is Thrasher as the front three extend slightly, but I can see that Roux is catching. Certainly Roux is catching Arcane. Whether he's catching TX at this point, I'm not entirely sure. Remember, TX was the demotee from season 3.2 down to GT4 World Challenge, so he is very keen to get back in to the top tier of GT3 World Challenge, and you'll be able to see that race replay soon enough on the channel. I'll try and give as much warning as possible for that GT3 challenge and the start time for it. Here then are Saito, 4th position, chased down by Thrasher for many laps here, as Saito takes a much better apex now and no longer suffering the same level of understeer as the medium runners perhaps are suffering at this stage. Arcane has pitted from that 2nd position, so that is the first scheduled pit stop off the medium tyre, and it's only lasted 8 flying laps for Arcane as TX has gone through, and I would imagine most of the medium starters are going to pit at the end of this lap, the end of lap 8, start of lap 9, before the safety car comes out, and they are prohibited from doing so on that first safety car lap. But here we have then a better view, shall we have, of the Nirvana Nevermind classic album, of course, but as rendered by the Simpsons as well. So great to see, and a lot of effort going into Team Spotify's the originality and the results as well this season have been very good, and they're not even happy with one livery for both cars like Team Mountain do. They're going to have individual classic albums. I wonder if Roux is a Nirvana fan, and he's of the right kind of vintage as well for a Nirvana and an original Nirvana fan. Thrasher moving around in car 87, stuck behind our Saito, and has been for some time now. That is Arcane out of the pits into 5th place, and I think a set of soft tyres on the car this time, no fuel. He's decided to have a sprint phase here and then take all the pain of the fuel and tyre and hard tyre compound later on, I think, in the race. And I'm sure Anatole watching will be able to correct me, but I think it's medium and hard tyres are the required tyre today not the soft, but soft tyre being used by Arcane. So fully expecting it to be a 2-stopper for Arcane today. As Thrasher comes through the order, Anatol straight away. Always good to have Anatol's assistance. It's not something I get on the graphic when doing a replay, so it's less obvious for me. And Jim up there as well with the A firm on the live chat. Look at the nice slide from Maxwell turning into the corner, but still really understeery as he pits off the hard tyre. Thrasher comes in as well, frustrated off the medium, but Maxwell off the hard. And we'll see if Maxwell puts extra fuel in, stopping with 18% fuel left on the car. Jim in, Sully in as well, but Jim in off the hard tyre. So not able to extend that stint particularly usefully as they are waiting on that pit stop and the safety car to come out. Tie-Dye goes through. He's in 6th now, and Dr. Sparkle through into 7th. Maxwell emerging just behind him. Maxwell having added up to about 80% fuel. That's a guess. This is Dr. Sparkle, and we haven't had a close-up look at today's Special K. This is a strawberry, and I see the Breakfast Club on the livery as well. Family size, strawberry Special K flavour today. Love the commitment to the theme by Special K. Not your classic kind of motorsport brand association, but that's part of the reason I love it. So Tie-Dye as well, also in that Mountain Dew Infinite Swirl livery, and you're going to have to help me out again. What does Infinite Swirl taste like? Because it looks like corn. It can't be corn. Surely it's not corn flavoured. Or is that pineapple? Is that what I'm seeing? It looked like husks of corn. I'm sure it's not, but a great, very, very nice livery there from the team Mountain Dew. And we get a good wiggle on going through the crest of turn 12 as well. Speedstars continues to lead us, but now from Roux. Speedstars has not pitted. I imagine will do so as soon as possible here. I think we'll be expecting to see, where is our safety car? There he is. Mercury is out. He does not have a penalty on the car, and he's got out in front of the front runner on the grid. So has been doing his training and has been watching the race carefully. Speedstars then closes in. Roux with him, having not yet stopped. Hazard lights on the cars, and we slow now with less than a quarter of a tank of fuel left on Roux's car, and Speedstars into the red as well. So they have to run at safety car speed now, and then they will have to pit at the end of this lap, or the end of the safety car phase. Al Saito has yet to catch the grid. He also has not pitted yet. There is life left in the hard tyre, but I'm guessing he's trying to make this one run through to a one-stop race and get through to half distance before having to stop for fuel, because he has done incredibly well on that fuel usage, much more than the Honda of Speedstars, and he's used less fuel as well than Roux in front. So a nice phase then for them, as Arcane is in 4th position. We have Thrasher out there having now stopped on the soft tyre with half a tank of fuel on the car, so going to be fuel and tyre limited, I'm not sure which, through this phase. But Arcane also was the first to stop off the medium. He's gone medium soft, and he will then have to switch to the hard. I imagine didn't fuel either in the Ferrari, so we'll be fueling and tiring at or very close to the halfway period, half distance point of our race. But I have to just question whether some of our drivers have got enough fuel to make it to minute 30 of our 1 hour race, of course. So again, drivers behind this group still a long way back can't actually see them as Tie-Dye has got his starting hard tyres on still. Has put his hazards on. There is to be no overtaking through this period, of course, so he can cruise. I think he's speed limited. No, he is going a little bit quicker. Just going through a slower section of the track at the moment, but no overtaking throughout the field. So that is then the Special K of Dr. Sparkle, as several drivers in the grid order go into the pits, including our leader and our second place driver, as Thrasher now, well, it's virtually the whole field has got into the pits. Thrasher, Arcane says, my first pit was to take the fastest lap. Okay, that's useful info there from Arcane. Maxwell then in second place on new medium tyres with plenty of fuel on board. He started on the hards, as did Jim. And Jim has taken a good amount of stationary time there. That is another tactic, of course, is to take as much stationary time under the safety car period as possible, or prior to the safety car period as possible, because then you lose less stationary refueling time in the pits later in the race when everyone else is going at full speed. Roux has emerged in 5th position on the medium tyre, but I think might have to use the softs before the end. Our Saito is in 6th place. Arcane's fastest lap so far, 2:05.352, was low on fuel and I think on the soft tyres. He's now switched to the hards. Speedstars from the lead out in 7th place, but with drivers in front of him. Well, it looks like Roux has managed to overtake Speedstars through the pit stop period, and is that, yeah, that's as a result of taking less fuel. So he underfueled the car to get track position, did Roux, and now he's got the medium tyres. So tactically committing to a further stop, but getting crucially that track position ahead of TX, who has also got a car in between them. So he hasn't got the trouble of coming out on softer tyres against TX and having to then make the overtake. But he is still going to be a little bit balked by the drivers who have yet to pit or on older tyres in front of him. So it's not a clear-cut victory already for Roux, but a smart decision to get ahead of your main rival through the first phase of the race. However, we still have over half of the race left to run, so it's certainly going to be far from all over by the end of this one. Fewer incidents and accidents have occurred here at Lago Maggiore than at a permanent racetrack, than the tight confines of the high-speed ring, with all of those wall riding episodes and Armco barriers and bridges and weather that we suffered last time out. The drivers are enjoying a lot less drama out there today, as Maxwell progresses in that P2 on the medium tyre, Thrasher on the softs. So Maxwell would be in a huge hurry to get past Thrasher at this stage. Jim on the medium tyres, the best race tyre of the bunch here, and I think safety car should have turned his lights off, or will turn his lights off, or will surprise us all by coming in regardless. So let's see. It looks like Mercury, almost a perfect score from Mercury today, except for those safety car lights going off. And we wait then for the drivers to cross the start-finish line and go green for the remainder of our race. A 34-minute race will continue as they come on through past the line, and we go green flag racing as Maxwell defends hard into turn 1. Doesn't upset his rhythm too much going into the next corners, and Roux looking very impatient to get past Sully here, and Roux needing to make the moves, especially before TX comes through and challenges him. So, but you do need to take your time and not take those low percentage moves. That's Speedstar's going long way round the outside, trying to get past Arcane and not achieving that one. Arcane's car should be blue-nosed and red-tailed, but it's red all over in our view. But Arcane defending hard here on the hard tyres. not keen to allow TX to come through on the identical strategy at this stage. But plenty of laps still to run. That's Sully getting crossed up and wide around the outside. That's causing a bit of a concertina effect as Arcane is stuck in the middle of both Saito and Sully. Saito getting the nod ahead before they go into the fast sweepers, proceeding the long straight down into turn 12, and down the hill they go. Thrasher and Maxwell with comfortable gaps front and behind. Jim in that third position, unchallenged from Roux, who did manage to overtake our Saito. So Roux, excuse me a second. Roux following behind Jim's flowing section here through after turn 13, 14 and in towards the slower stuff at the end of the lap. Roux making a move potentially down the inside, but given the width of the racetrack, there is plenty of room for the drivers to go side by side without contact, and leaving a little bit of margin for error for netcode as well. And Jim in towards the final corner of lap 12. That looks like Maxwell also just struggling still on these colder tyres to get that Porsche through the final corner, and managing so far as Jim in the provisional podium position. Heavy braking then down into turn 1. No move this time from Roux, just biding his time as Jim actually closes in on Maxwell, and Thrasher stretches his lead. Jim a little bit slow away from turn 2, and that looks like Roux then trying to find his best line. Goes wide into turn 4 for the best possible exit. However, that's opened the door slightly to our Saito. This then is Roux passing Jim fairly easily. It looked like Jim just hampered away from the corner. Our Saito coming through as well. And oh wow, our Saito misjudging that run, and I do want to see all of that happen again. So it was Jim, yeah, going into turn 4. This is turn 3. As oh, did he get a nudge from behind perhaps? Ooh, cheeky stuff. Let's have a look. Did he actually get a tag from behind on the way into the corner? I think he's okay. He's okay at this stage. And he did get a nudge while braking for turn 4. That sent Jim very wide on the exit and allows Roux to come through. It allows our Saito to do the same as we go into the next corner. You can see our Saito with a much better run through, but then look at our Saito into the apex of here. What massive drift from our Saito, but he holds on and looks for a better run through. Jim saying that pesky Roux, and shame on Roux, says Kuros, guys. So the knives are going in on Roux here for being impatient into the corner. Yeah, at least made for some good replay action. This then is Jim having dropped down to 6th position from 2nd in that sector, thanks to Roux for the nudge. I wonder if there'll be any post-race stewards inquiry on that score, because Roux did gain an unfair advantage after contact, but he's looking at a bigger prize, I think, at this point, and deciding that maybe a nudge and a bump and run is better to take a penalty than be stuck behind a driver at this stage of the race. He's looking all over left and right, forcing Maxwell to check his mirrors both sides, and Roux looking down the outside then of a difficult corner to make an overtake, but perhaps looking for a smoother exit. He's done this before. In fact, he's going all the way wide around the outside, is he, for a possible switchback into the final corner, but losing out, just using way more road than Maxwell in front, who hangs the tail out into turn 18 and forces Roux to take the option to go the longer way around the outside. But Roux with the overspeed, the better traction, and now through into P1 thanks to Thrasher's pit stop, who drops down the order. Thrasher was running, I think, the soft tyres at the time. Just confirm that, yes. So Thrasher, short-lived run on the soft tyres. He now has half the race to go and a lot of fuel to get into the car. Our Saito moving forward at this stage on the medium tyre now, but needing to pit again, I fully expect, before the end of the race. I think the drivers are going to really struggle to manage half distance on a single tank of fuel, or at least a single set of tyres, even the hard tyres. And there's our Saito doing a carbon copy of his previous lap. Is that just his new line of drifting into turn 5 of this Lago Maggiore circuit? Fabulous circuit with epic elevation change. But our Saito just really struggling with the Lamborghini, trying to back it into turn 5. And Arcane now drawing alongside. It's not a great place to make the overtake here, and Speedstars is looking impatient as well. Speedstars has struggled to make progress at this stage. Arcane with the slipstream. Speedstars may be able to get both of them here. Arcane dummies to the outside. Speedstars though dives down the open door inside line as our Saito goes again to drift into the apex of one of the slower corners. But a great move from TX. I really want to see that one again from TX. Here he is, a double overtake, flies down the inside line and absolutely judged that to perfection. A clean overtake, forcing our Saito to make his own arrangements, and Arcane was boxed in, trying to take the outside line. As Jim's saying, I'm just sitting back and watching at this point in that 6th position, and we hear the world's tiniest violin playing for Jim. But you're looking stylish while doing it, Jim. So hopefully the race will come to you later on. Sparkle in 7th place, Sully down in 8th. Dr. Sparkle has moved up well thanks to strategy decisions so far. As Sully on the hard tyres has come through. Tie-Dye in 9th place. Runs now on the hard tyre. Plenty to do. As Kiros Kai says, at this point, I'm in the back of the race, enjoying my Sunday drive. Let's give you a little bit of love then for this livery. I can't remember, Kai, whether you designed this one or was this a Glovass design. I hope I'm not insulting you, but I love that camo effect on the tail of the Puma Porsche. Thrasher out then on the hard tyres with a full tank of fuel. As Anatole says, follow me, lap 15. All right then, no problem. Here we go then, as we'll actually ride just off board. As we see, we've got Arcane looking for a move down the inside of Saito. Saito, is he going to avoid that apex of turn 5? Not quite, but Saito losing out. Arcane making the overtake this time. Here we go then, on board with Anatole, with Maxwell, as we head into the sweepers. We do have to scrub a lot of speed off before. Anatole says there was an accident. Okay, so let's head back and see. Okay, so we've had a little bump and run into turn 2 there from, that was TX, still defending on the way into turn 3. Our Saito crowding around the outside, and another bump from I think that was Saito that time. Okay, so understood. Thanks Maxwell. We got a better look at things, but yeah, not the most sporting of behaviour from your rivals there as they run through. Let's have a look on board with Arcane as we go in, chasing down Speedstars. Gapping Saito behind. Oh, hello. Speedstars just completely misjudged that one. Sorry, folks. Pressed the wrong button there. And I've done that trick again, haven't I? Let's try and recover this back to where we were. One more will do it. Okay, so we'll ride with Speedstars as we go. That was Saito losing out to Arcane. Saito is going to have nightmares about turn 5 here. And then something just went kind of wrong going into this corner for Speedstars. What was it? So we go right now. We get out on the curb going through turn 8, and that just upset the car going into turn 9 as well. Saito getting a better run, and then TX Speedstars just got problem building on top of problem, and Maxwell's going to get them both again. So Maxwell sneaks it down the inside and chuckles to himself in the cockpit, I think, here, as he gets the inside line. Saito is just struggling massively through these slower corners. Speedstars makes up the position once again, Brilliant lap from these guys, lap 15, and Jim catching everybody. Thanks to all this squabbling going on, you can just see the Tabasco coming into view as Maxwell will be not wanting to leave the leave the door open here, but he's certainly been battered and bruised, and he's battered again. Maxwell hit, I think this time from Saito. Now everybody is having a go at Maxwell. Speedstars up to the outside, Saito just misjudging the braking, I think, and that was Maxwell then back down to 5th position, and Maxwell cannot pay for some good racing room on the track, and this time he loses out even to Jim, who was out in 6th position before. Speedstars versus Saito. It is ding dong between these drivers, and anybody's guess who's going to come out alive after all of this. Speedstars with a damaged front splitter. Saito sides across before the braking zone, and again struggles to get the car down in on the hard tyre. He's really tracing the grip here as Speedstars comes on through. Better line through the corner. He's got the hard tyres, but that Honda is absolutely on here. Gareth, you're going to have to help me out. Which driver are you in here, or are you just a neutral observer saying you just hit that guy? You shouldn't have been standing there. Speedstars down the inside into Saito's weak spot here into turn 5, and looking for that better, more classic racing line, but again misjudging it again, and Saito manages to get through nicely here this time. So Gareth is Larry. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Why have you got so many names? Speedstars in 4th position, and following on then. Is that a very typical Aussie thing to have a nickname that's not your connected to your name at all? Running from the law, brilliant. Yes. So Speedstars third, fourth down the inside of our Saito. Speedstars isn't making these inside-outside moves work or stick particularly, but alongside he goes with our Saito. And then Speedstars now finally gets the tail ahead, but these two are absolutely glued together at this stage. It is lap 16, it is minute 36 of 60, and we're having a great time here at Lago Maggiore in this middle phase of the race. I still haven't got a good idea of the helmet that TX is running because of that side head protection on the seat. I keep getting a bit of a clue through the windshield, but I'm just not seeing it closely enough. So none of my camera angles are actually helping me find out what the helmet is on TX here. So finally now some daylight between Speedstars and Saito. Behind them we've got Jim with Maxwell in 6th. Sully has his hands full. Dr. Sparkle moving around in the mirrors in 7th. And then we have Kuroskai down in 9th place. It does look like the Porsche is not a happy race car at Lago Maggiore at all. So perhaps Kuroskai can give some insight, or maybe Maxwell. What is going on? It looks like it's a boat on the circuit. You're really reacting to the grip. It just feels half dead on the racetrack. Thrasher down in 11th position, but should be fueled and tired to a finish. So watch out for Thrasher later on in the session. Tie-Dye is in 10th place, just making a mistake through turn 5, and he won't thank me for finding him at that particular moment on the circuit. Back up front is Rue with an impressive gap now on Arcade, and just in case the stewards do have any post-race penalties for Rue, he's building the gap. He just has, though, 1/4 of a tank of fuel remaining and about 50% wear on the most limited rear left of the tyres on the medium compound, but presumably headed for a soft tyre sprint at the end of the race, or maybe another set of mediums depending on how soon he has to pit. I think if it's in the next lap or two, he'll need mediums, but if he can extend, then he'll be quick at the end as well on the soft tyres, and need them, because he's not going to open up enough of a gap to come out back in the front of our race, with TX in third place with a big gap now over Saito after we last left him. And it's Maxwell versus Jim here. Maxwell running low on fuel. It just seems like when the front finally grips for Maxwell and for Kuroskai, that the car, the rear end just lets go immediately. So into the pits comes Jim for his final set of tyres and fuel. Sully in 6th. And Larry saying, testing his Porsche was quick at high speed stuff, but anything mid or low speed was understeering. And Kuroskai echoing the same sentiment. Sully. It says livery by Golden on the bonnet actually here for the Mountain Dew Infinite Swirl. That's Golden Oracle, right? As Maxwell is in 5th place then. Behind him, Sully's Nissan. Dr. Sparkle has lost progress against Sully that we had earlier on, but he's in 7th place. And now we've got Thrasher having just passed Tie-Dye and closing in on Kuroskai in front. Jim Arnott says Golden does some for others. Yeah, he's obviously one of the go-to livery designers. I know Globus does a bunch, and clearly Jim. Here goes Thrasher looking down the inside, but no way through at this stage, and losing a little bit of time here. It's getting very busy on the racetrack, and this Chevy certainly last season was the pick of the bunch. Looks like the Lamborghini is very strong as well, but round Lago Maggiore, I'm not feeling completely convinced by the Chevy this time. And it doesn't seem to suit the car particularly well. And that's Kuroskai really squeezing Thrasher to the outside. Oh, I don't know. Kuroskai might say that he didn't see him, or he made a mistake going into the corner. But I don't know what you guys think. I'll have a guess as to what Kuroskai made of all of that. But yeah, it looked a little bit like we're just closing off Thrasher in the braking zone. We sort of 3 or 4 contacts there as well going in. So anyway, we'll say bright red is really hard to say. See, says Larry. Yeah. He was in my blind spot, I think is the usual excuse around there. But Kuroskai can defend himself, I'm sure, as he's watching live with us. Thrasher now was put down into the I have hood view, no mirror. Okay. You're one of those drivers, are you? So that's Maxwell in the pits. We've got Thrasher getting past Kuroskai, thankfully there. Kuroskai saying, I see nothing from behind. So no radar on your HUD. My bad, he says. Okay, fair play to you. Well, he pits now. Maxwell pits. So the last round of pit stops being enacted. That's Jim in 9th on the medium tyres and fresh out there, ready for another run for his final stint. Tie-Dye just walking his way through turn 1, trying to bring these hard tyres to a position where I think he can use the softs at the end, but I think that's an indication that these tyres are ready for the bin. Thrasher's in 7th, and the other cars come screaming on through. But Thrasher also seemingly on the hard tyres suffering. It just looks like the hard tyre has been a deeply unpleasant tyre to run at any stage of any stint today. But unfortunately, drivers having to make use of it for a decent spell, at least sort of a third of the race distance, having to be spent on this unpleasant hard tyre. Jim then will be nervously looking at how Tie-Dye's car is behaving and trying to guess the right time to go for a move. On board with Jim. Should have good brakes, but certainly should be good on the exit of the next corner. Well, it doesn't really need to be, because Tie-Dye's gone off the circuit again, running wide and off So that was Jim through. Roux pits from the lead of the race with just 5% of fuel remaining, so he's just about three-quarter distance of the race. So he's having to stop for a decent spell here to refuel. That's a fair amount of fuel going in. That's 77% fuel back into the car with just 16.5 minutes left to run. Roux is exiting the pits though in P3 thanks to 4th, 5th and 6th position drivers all pitting at the same time. So that went really well for Roux and his run back up towards challenging for a 4th consecutive victory here in season 3.3. We've got Speedstars then in 2nd place, but we'll need some fuel before the end of this race. It's the 20th lap, so we're probably looking at 25, possibly 26, depending on where the drivers are on the racetrack at that hour point. But we've also got a pit stop expected from Arcane with some soft tyres and I imagine a splash and dash to get home on the fuel tank. Speedstar's pretty close here to Arcane, but their races are best served here running an absolutely optimal pace respectively rather than running too closely behind. But that Ferrari has done incredibly well on the fuel usage. It is still running about 20% of fuel in the car, and it will need very little in the way of refueling time. Looking back at Roux then, now on fresh medium tyres for the last quarter of this race. Plenty of fuel, so can really gun this final stint. Not going for the fastest lap, I don't think, at this stage, but there's a chance he still will later on once the car is as light as possible. Just tiptoe around, get the medium tyres into the sweetest spot possible over the next 4 laps, and then really go for it on the final lap, I think will be the plan. Speedstars then pits from P2 off the hard tyre, and we'll see what tyre he decides on in a few moments' time, while our Saito leads Thrasher and Jim for 4th, 5th and 6th positions. We've got Saito currently on the mediums. Saito could look good at the end of this race for a provisional podium. Might be fighting with Arcane from the end of the race. Can he clear TX though? TX is on his way out of the pits, so there we go. TX has stayed out, so if our Saito can do anything about it, well, he's sliding into turn 1. Just the way these GT4 cars are set up, I think it's causing problems for the drivers to get around these slower corners. The Honda has looked a pretty balanced car. I don't know if Jim wants to comment on how the car is behaving here for both himself and TX, but it's not anywhere near as dramatic as we've seen from some of the other constructors. Sully in 6th place with Maxwell up there running in 7th now. New medium tyres for all of those 3 drivers, as there is for Thrasher, who's just been back into the pits, and Thrasher has filled the tank with fuel. I wonder if he went off for a bathroom break and left the car refueling, because that's way too much for the end of our race. Surely, even in a Chevy, that's a lot of fuel put in from Thrasher, as he's backing the car into the slow turn 5 as well. Dr. Sparkle, everybody kind of set up now for the final phase of this race. No one yet on the soft tyres, but I'm interested to see whether Arcane can get through to that phase. I think he's got one more lap of fuel if he wants it, but he doesn't. So he pits, and that means that Roux will retake the lead then, with just a few minutes and laps left to run. This is Roux coming through the final corner, turn 18. And we've got Arcane in the pits on the hard tyre, and I wonder, will he decide to go for the softs in a few moments' time? Will Speedstars come round and get ahead of Roux, who doesn't need to stop for quite as much fuel? He's still put 81% of fuel in the tanks, but no medium tyres. Arcane rejecting the option to try the softs here for the final 3 or 4 laps. I fancied he would use put less fuel in and go for the soft tyres, but sadly not. It's a very crumpled looking Ferrari on the front corner there, isn't it, for Arcane. Let's have a good close-up look at that front corner. The display kind of getting in the way a little bit, but it's very much second-hand looking. Is that Ferrari for P2? But didn't fancy a run on the softs. Maybe he's already he hasn't yet used the mediums, but I would have preferred to see him try and sprint this final session. Lap 22, I suspect 25 or 26 to a finish, but Roux is well and clear out into the lead of this race. His last lap, 206.4, he's got a 206.0 on his best time. That was presumably either an out lap or it didn't qualify for the fastest lap with a penalty or something, but it's reading as his personal best as a 206.4. He's got to find 9/10 in the Lamborghini, out into the wall. So he's not taking this particularly steadily, and neither was that a run for fastest lap either, I don't think, from Roux. Let's have a look then at what's happening down here with Thrasher. Dr. Sparkle following in 9th place, fighting over 8th at the moment. Sparkle leaving his hazard lights on after the safety car, but you can't necessarily pay a lot of attention to that once you're back at green flag racing. Absolutely tremendous elevation change through that phase of the race. You start your braking downhill and you finish your turn-in pointing uphill again. It's a real challenge to get right, to judge that absolutely right and well. Another car that's a little bit scratched up on that front left corner. Maybe that's maybe it's the wall running through. Was it turn 17 or 16 on the previous lap from Roux? But yeah, it looked like that might be the part of the track to blame, unless it's just contact. But Sparkle losing a bit of time on this lap through the next phase, as Maxwell is looking to try and get that top 6 position where he spent much of the first stint of the race. Just the car looks so lazy, so slow through these slower corners. It's a real handful for our drivers to contend with today. Car looking very nice indeed. The Mountain Dew. Still haven't had an update on what people think it tastes like. Infamous. Well, I'm all too familiar with what Tabasco tastes like. Here in the Webbo household, we buy Tabasco by the catering size bottles. Because it's just not economic anymore to use the traditional size. We have our Saito in 4th place. The gap's opening up at this stage. It wouldn't surprise me to see some of those gaps coming down towards the end as we see Arcane just kicking up some dirt in TX's face here. Arcane, plenty of fuel left. Speedstars has even more fuel left on the car, and he puts in a personal best sector. I wonder if Roux is at the point yet where he is pushing hard enough to try and get that fastest lap. At this point is pretty much the only thing left for him to do. Jim's in the pits. Ran out of fuel for the end of the race, but maybe going for a fastest lap attempt as well later on. Let's see Roux across the sector where he's 1/4 of a second slower than his best. So I think he's still just burning off that fuel. Arcane was incredibly patient earlier on to run as low as he did, but just knew that he needed to do the job, get that quick lap in, and then he was in a good position for the second phase of the race after the yellow flag, after our safety car and Mercury did his star turn. hopefully we will be back to full fields again soon. Far more important that some of our racers are dealing with the effects of sequential hurricanes, and I haven't heard otherwise, but I hope everyone is safe and well, at least, and hopefully they can get down to their favourite hobby again very soon, and we can have those full fields back on the circuit. But of course, far more important just to make sure everybody is healthy and well. Let's hope that people can do have a lot more fun and stop dealing with those unpleasant things at that stage. Right, it is 54 minutes. We're on to lap 25, a 2-minute lap. So another 2. I think we will go through to lap 27, or at least the end of lap 26. So here comes Roux then coming through. It's 25% fuel on the car, just over. So I'm waiting really for Roux to really push on these laps. And here I think he is building up his speed now. That's just 93 thousandths of a second away from his best, but just running a little bit wide, so still time to sort of push the envelope and see what the car can do as Arcane runs wide through the same corner exit. Medium tyres, of course, for the front 3. Similar strategies to this stage, so the driver's not having to compete with one another here too much, just looking at the stopwatch and trying to match their best times. So back to the battle then for 5th position, which looks to be the closest on the circuit at the moment. We're right on board with Maxwell. You see a little stab of throttle, try and turn the car deep into the middle section of the corner. As then we've got Sully widening the circuit as much as possible before heading into these sweeping corners. Scrub the speed off the first part, and you can pay dividends later after this next right-hander. Try and set it up so you can be foot to the floor. And, it's a bit more comfortable, but then we're going to head into turn 12. Braking just on the transition, just on the flat before heading uphill again. See the ribbon of the racetrack opening up in the rear view mirror there on the right through and up into turn 13 and 14, and now we go for the slow stuff once again. See Sully moving around, try and find the balance. Like Maxwell with a better handle on the car at this point now. Maybe it's just the medium tyres feeling good, but he's still going to have to be a little bit conservative on those tyres to be comfortable to the end of the race. Back with Jim then in 7th, and Thrasher is appearing to catch Jim, but Jim has got better tyres to the end of the race. I think Jim will be pretty pleased with the 7th place finish here. Thrasher and that Chevy just look alive. Every time you see the car, it just looks like something's going to happen with Thrasher. Always on the edge. Always entertaining. And that's a personal best sector there for him, but his personal best time is only a 2:08. Looks like Maxwell fairly close here. to an overtaking opportunity. Maybe tempted to start thinking of a 5th place on the cards. Both drivers, Sully and Maxwell, looking like they have fairly similar issues with handling. The Honda looking smooth. Don't think you'd ever accuse Thrasher of being smooth, or looking smooth, I should say. But he's always there or thereabouts, always plenty entertaining as well. Dr. Sparkle is in 9th place for the Special K team. Tie-Dye in 10th, and Kuroskai, I think, will be glad that the race is coming towards an end. I think struggling a little bit around this Lago Maggiore with a very unpleasant handling Porsche. So how is Roux doing then on this particular lap, on lap 27? Oh, he's low on fuel. He is really rather low on fuel, but should be able to get this home. I wonder if we've left it too late and too light on fuel to really go for a fastest lap here. It's the shadow of the helicopter just following Roux through. You can see the distance out to Arcane, so I think, you know, a few meters left, a few yards I should say, on low fuel mode won't worry Roux too much as he comes through. He's nowhere near his fastest time or the fastest time on the track at this stage. And we have 7 seconds to go, so Roux will make it home on this lap here. We're about to see a driver cross the start-finish line in last position, I believe, but Roux is coming through the final corner. It's Nirvana Nevermind, but he's certainly put in a great showing here today. Roux takes the checkered flag in Lago Maggiore in round 4 of the championship for the GT4 World Challenge. Arcane just kicking up some more dirt on the way through the final corner, takes home 2nd place and the fastest lap, and TX in 3rd place had a plenty of enjoyment and incidents and great battles throughout the course of the race. Saito will bring a great result home for Team Spotify, 1st and 4th here today for the team, and he brings home plenty of points then. Sully is going to try, and I think succeed, in holding off Maxwell, who is going to chase him down right to the last corner of the race here. Maxwell is so tantalizingly close as Sully comes through. Will he enter low fuel mode? It'll be side by side to the finish. It is absolutely together, but Sully does finish just ahead of Maxwell, and on fumes the pair of them as Jim crosses the line in that 7th place. Thrasher is weaving around as he has done most of the race and finishes 8th, with Kellogg's Special K finishing down in 9th position with Dr. Sparkle as well. And the odd racing driver book of excuses, I needed another lap, says Jim, for Jim there. As Tie-Dye is going to, well, that was a bit early, wasn't it? with the spin turn at the end. I think Kuroskai, I was going to say, has already crossed the line. And Tie-Dye's tried to cross the line sideways and just manages to hit the barrier exactly where it says understeer as well, so very appropriate there. But Roux is on his glory lap. What a great performance from him. Kuroskai will cross the line to finish, but props to Roux for a 4th consecutive victory here in this season 3.3. Kuroskai across the line in the we can almost not see him, but he's in the camouflage Team Puma Porsche, and across the line we go. But Roux, your victor ahead of Arcane and TX Speedstars for this Lago Maggiore round 4 of the championship. We'll tune in, subscribe. We will be back soon with GT3s, and I really appreciate everybody. We've got 8 people have liked the video already, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in the middle of your US day. But from me, Webbo, from everybody here at Deviant Racing, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next race day.